This is Rges Algebra 1, and this is Lesson 2.8, Word Problems. It says problems that lead to two transformation equations. In other words, you're going to mostly have two steps to solve each of these. Okay, so the example he gives you, the pedal boat problem, is very good and very well explained. So I want you to read through that very carefully. It has several parts to it. Pay attention to the answers on each part below after you try to deduce the answer yourself. I am not going to repeat that example, but you will need to understand something like that. So you go ahead and make sure you follow through his argument very, very clearly. Now, the general idea he's using a lot for several of these problems, at least, is the distance, rate, time formula. How are distance, rate, and time related? Well, I think the easiest thing is to always go back to something I understand well. Let's say I am going 50 miles per hour in my car. That is rate. Let's say I'm going for 3 hours. That is time. If I give you rate and time, can you figure out the distance? If I go 50 miles per hour for 3 hours, what is my distance? And most of you would know that right off the top of your head. And you would say, well, that's easy. That's 150 miles. But when I ask you to write me an equation, you might be stumped. So the question is, what did you do? Look at these numbers, 50 and 3. What did I do to those two numbers to get 150? And you multiplied them. So distance equals rate times time. Okay, and I can always create that formula if I understand by going back to a simple process. Okay, so you could either memorize it, distance equals rate times time, or you can mentally think about it, and you should be able to get it. Now, for the oral practice, I care about this on page 81. It's asking you to give an expression representing each of the following. So go get your book and put it on pause and think through the first one. They actually give you an example. They say you spend $50 per day for X days. So in all, I would spend 50 times X to figure out how much I've spent together, and then I add 230 more. And that would be, how much do you spend? That would be the answer to the example problem. Now I'm going to march down these very quickly with you. You make $5 per hour for X hours plus 750 more. Okay, you make 5X plus 750. Go ahead and just keep the dollar sign off, but write it with decimals, and then that would be your expression. You spend 65 cents per carton of milk for X number of cartons of milk, and then plus 80 cents more. So I spend 65 times X plus 80. See how these are working. Next one. You go 40 miles per hour for X hours, then you go 70 miles further. That would be 40 times X plus 70. 4, these are really ABCD, sorry. We have fly 600 miles per hour for X hours, then 1,000 miles more. So 600 miles per hour for X hours, then fly 1,000 further. 5, earn $6 per hour for X hours, then pay back 10. So we've gone in the different direction now. We've earned $6 an hour for X hours, but then I need to subtract 10. 6, which is really F, go 80 feet per minute for X minutes, and then go back 30 feet. So you're subtracting. Next, start with 50 grapes and then eat 3 grapes per minute. Well, if we start with 50, then we're going to take away 3 per minute. 8, which is really H. Start with 100 quarters and spend 2 quarters per minute. For X minutes, how many quarters are left? I wanted to read that all the way through, so I'm not worried about money value. I'm just worried about quarters. So I start with 100, and I'm going to take away 2 quarters per minute for X minutes. Next, you start 20 miles from home. You're going to walk 5 miles per hour toward home for X hours. You're starting 20 miles. You're going to walk. So you're going to go towards home. So you're going to lessen your distance 4 miles per hour for X hours. And finally, you're going to start 20 miles from home. You're going to ride your bike 9 miles per hour away from home. So I'm increasing my distance by 9 miles times the number of hours I ride away. Okay, hopefully that's easy to you, and that will be preparation for all the problems. You only have to do the odd ones, but I want you to really try very hard to get all the parts answered correctly by yourself. Many students just shut down and stop without even trying to understand word problems, and they really are a critical part of the course. So please work very carefully and try to make it make sense. Even plug in values sometimes in your mind to make sure that you have got everything correct. And bring any questions then to class.